All right. Oh, what's the word, man? How you feeling?
I'm chilling, bro. It's midweek, kind of long week. Work is cool, but still a lot going on. Really outside is what's kind of crazy though, man. But I'm blessed at the end of the day. I'm just grinding it out. How about yourself?
Man, I'm chilling, man. I really can't complain,
For real.
Like you said, got the new look, got the it's a new week, trying to get to it, man. It's a lot going on right now in society. I feel like
Yeah.
it's just a lot going on. That's probably the mildest way to put it. Uh
Right, right.
let's start real quick with the playoffs real quick. Um
It's actually on in the background for me right now too.
So
So
who's playing right now? The Knicks?
yes, Knicks and
Let's
Celtics.
go
It's
Knicks.
second quarter, about 6 minutes left, 25-32 Boston. So
Let's go Knicks.
yeah. Right. Though, big love to Tatum and all of that. Even though I don't really mind the Celtics as a franchise, I'm not a big fan of the city of Boston as a whole.
Right, right, right.
I always let folks know that like the Patriots kind of ruined the nigga childhood a little bit, bro. Like the Rams was gonna be 2 out of 3 dynasty. I guess to a degree, just because of the team and the era, we still were some sort of a dynasty. But I wish
Yeah.
that we had more than one ring to show for it.
Yeah. We
And
were a
as
great
a
team for sure.
bro,
A great
and then
team for sure.
that's what ends up becoming Tom Brady's first ring before he goes to dominate. Which actually, after he left the Patriots, I did become a little bit of a fan for him with him down in Tampa Bay
Yeah.
or whatever. Like the fact that he showed that he could do it without Belichick with a whole different team and a whole different division, I was like, I respect that.
No, he the real
I
goat.
respect
I ain't gonna
that.
lie. He really the goat. That nigga can throw the football, bro. He can really throw the football. I can't even.
Yeah, because Belichick just went the total opposite direction. He didn't even really maintain. I'm like, yeah, we know
Hey,
who it was
that's
there.
a whole nother conversation too. Is Belichick. That's how we actually we
That's a deep dive for
that's a
another
deep
day.
dive, a different type of deep dive for sure.
Yeah.
Um Who? Okay, so yeah, Knicks. How you feel? Who you got coming out of? Do you have any favorites right now?
Um, who I had winning at the beginning of the playoffs was still the Celtics. I
Right.
really wish, like, I think the couple days after we last recorded, that's when the Lakers got eliminated. They was trying to rally for the comeback then, and everybody was, if anybody could do a 3-1 comeback, it'd be LeBron because he did it
He's done
recently.
it. Right.
But I mean, I think also even with him and Curry, like both of them cats hurt. Like Steph got his hamstring situation and something like that, so he out for
Yeah.
game too. I think we really are closing in on the end of that era. Brian definitely, he's not gonna retire without a swan song farewell campaign. So
Right.
1 maybe 2 years, like I could see him maybe trying to wiggle it around with Bryce, but I'm scared. I don't know if we're gonna see a dramatic decline, but we're going to continue to see a decline in Brian's game. He probably gonna pass a little bit more. I'm glad he could shoot a nice little 3-pointer now, or whatever the case may be, but he
Yeah.
got to start to like rely on the young boys more. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I had Boston winning. I want to see OKC kind of go through the mud a little bit more. I'm not rooting for
Mhm.
them to win the title right now, but they look outside of them losing their last game. They look really good so far. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
They look young to me. They don't look tested. This will be
Yeah.
the test year for real. They can beat Joker because
Hmm.
Anthony Edwards and them are a bit more tested
Yeah.
at this
Yeah.
point. I would say
Yeah.
just from beating a former champion. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
does put a lot of pressure on you. Then losing to the Mavericks the way that they did.
Yeah.
Um, so out the West, I think it would be best for the NBA if Minnesota wins, if they
Yes.
go, and I think either either Boston or New York. Honestly,
Yeah. I mean, from a media and cultural perspective, I'm gonna be happy for either one of those to come out. I wish that it was actually the Eastern Conference Finals for
yeah, that would have
them.
been lit. That would
That
have
would
been
have
lit.
been epic.
New York,
But
Indiana in the it would have been good.
that would have been
Second
fire.
round.
That would
That'd
have
have
been
been a
super
great second
fire.
round. New York,
Yeah.
Indiana would have been a cold second
Legacy.
round.
Yeah, like the
Yeah,
story of it all would have been
yeah,
super fire. How you actually feel? Because I didn't even rap with you about it. I had tweeted though. How you feel about all the visiting teams within the first the game one? That was a crazy
Landscape, it's
season.
just competitive right now in the league. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? Like, I think next year's league is gonna look a totally different. Like you said,
Mm,
uh, for me, it's really fun being able to finally. I feel like I probably had the longest. So we've had some of the longest childhood arcs with
yeah,
LeBron.
yeah,
As long
yeah,
as he's played, like his era
yeah.
hasn't ended, and we've been fortunate enough to just be able to cheer him on for this long. Like to watch
Right,
him win or
right.
watch him lose. Like it's just been fun watching it.
I
I
know
think,
I'm going to shed a tear when he retires, like for
yeah.
sure.
But Monty
Like I,
Jones,
I got choked up when Kobe retired, and I
oh,
wasn't even a huge Kobe
that
fan.
was a great game. That was
But
one of the
man,
greatest
I was
games
like,
ever.
damn, this is
It was
crazy.
amazing. That was amazing. Kobe's last game was amazing.
Mm, mm,
So
mm, mm.
it's but Monty Jones put it best though. He just was like, with LeBron, it's kind of like your favorite rapper. It's not that
Mm.
they don't rap good still, but at a certain point, sometimes you just stop listening. And I
Damn.
I
I
kind
think
of
I saw that. It was him and the brother on the Bomani podcast the
yeah
other
yeah
day.
yeah yeah
Yeah,
yeah.
I saw that. I saw that. I
hmm
saw that.
yeah
Okay.
yeah. And I thought that was a good analogy, especially as a
Yeah.
LeBron fan. Like I'm a LeBron fan, like for real. And so I'm not as crazy as like a Bron sexual. I don't think I'm a Bron sexual
Yeah.
technically, but I'm right underneath whatever the Bron sexuals are. I'll give
Yo,
myself that, whatever is underneath that.
I'm not gonna lie though. This season when the kids started making the songs for him on TikTok,
Hey,
I was weak, but that's
next
also
level.
it's also like super hard. Like
So
they
cold,
asked
bro.
Ronnie to see it. It's
So
like,
cold,
yeah,
bro.
I ain't see it, but my kids showed it to
You know what I
me.
mean? So cold. And it's like, I mean, we were kind of like that with Jordan. Like Jordan was tight to us. I wasn't alive when he
Mhm.
started. You know what I'm
Right, right,
saying?
right, right, right,
So yeah, it's very similar because I was tuned into Michael Jordan's last All Star game and watching
right,
it.
right.
I was into it when the
Yeah,
17s
yeah,
came
yeah,
out. When like I was just like, it's so
yeah,
I'm with that. I think this is a new era. It's good to watch it. It's really fun to watch it. And you know, I still think that like the NBA is getting all this excitement from these young players. People are
yeah,
asking how the torch is going to be passed, and we're literally watching it this season.
yeah, yeah,
Like this
yeah,
season, the torch is being passed. So it's good for the game. I speaking of the game, WNBA is in preseason mode.
yeah, yeah. The girls
Uh,
getting busy too. The girls are getting busy.
hey man, I might go ahead and get on FanDuel. Let me see the odds for Caitlin Clark
Oh,
MVP season.
the DraftKings it still ain't down there yet. I know they got legalized, but every time I
Uh,
come home, it don't never be active yet.
Not yet. They gotta figure out the casinos. They gotta figure out. It's a lot of logistics to that
Mm,
shit. Like they
got
was like that shit might not happen for a whole another year
wow. Okay.
from
But
when
the
it got.
law is passed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's the
Yeah.
business side
We
of
don't
it.
have any sports booking like in St. Louis. Like we don't have a sports book at the casino.
Right. Right.
Um.
Right.
So, but yeah. No. I got Caitlin Clark for MVP
Whoa.
for
Okay.
for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
For sure. She plus
She
two
was
hundred.
looking really good.
She plus
She
two
was
hundred.
looking really good.
I might have to throw a hundred on that bitch.
Wow. Okay.
Get my summer up.
Okay.
Hey man, I see her in Iowa. She's shooting that bitch from far.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
shooting that ball
Yeah.
from far away,
Yeah.
and she's had the whole summer. But I don't want to go down Caitlin Clark hole yet.
But I will just say though before
Yeah,
we bounce up out of that
yeah.
though, I do like her even being a little spicy in the comments when she commented on the homegirl stuff like
hmm
less pictures, less tan, and like more gym time, ladies. I'm like, oh, you're focused,
And
you're locked in.
you probably the girl that she was making some of that joke,
Mm-hmm.
Sophie Cunningham from Como. It's a
Oh,
Mizzou girl,
really?
MIZ. Yes,
Oh,
sir.
nice. Okay. Did
Sophie
she actually
Cunningham.
go to Mizzou as well? Oh, that's
Sophie
hard.
Cunningham.
Okay.
Yeah, she
Okay.
was the
Okay.
last one of our last little gyms that we had. So we don't get a lot of
Word.
gyms, but no, Sophie's local talent in Como, Missouri. So
Okay. I'm
she's
rooting
like a little
for it.
dirty Grayson Allen ass white girl. So I fuck
Right.
with
Right.
Sophie though.
Right. Right.
I
Okay.
fuck with
Okay.
Sophie though.
I
They
could
can't
get
talk bad
behind that.
about me with Sophie. So
Yeah.
but now they gonna think I'm capping for all the white girls now. on the comments. But look,
It's some of them that's nice.
now
It's
they can
some of them
play.
that's
They can
nice,
play.
bro. Like the girls can hoop. I can't hold you because I got my favorite white boys in the NBA, like
Yeah.
Hardenstein.
But he can have
He
black.
a little
But he
low on
have
my
black though.
tier. But oh, that's right. But Dante DiVincenzo and fucking
Okay.
Chet Holmgren, they're my
Okay.
boys. I got love for Austin Reeves too, obviously Luca. But like
AR-15.
my young bulls, like yeah, Chet. I
Yeah.
was happy when he came back from
Yeah.
being hurt,
I
bro.
fuck with Chet. I fuck with Chet. Chet's a baller. He's a real baller.
Yeah, he's super tall and lanky, all that shit, man.
So Asia Wilson had a big release for the Asia one.
Yes,
Um,
yes, yes, yes. The ad was fire.
ad
It
was
was fire.
fire. Ad
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
fire.
yeah.
It was very black girl coded.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And it's
Definitely
caught some
smiled
heat.
and you say what?
It's caught some heat.
Oh, yes, of course, of course, of course. The
So
controversy is real.
Natalie James Harris, we're gonna shout her out. Natalie James Harris,
Mm-hmm.
she's a film director. Um, she got some stuff on HBO Max, some
Yeah,
Sundance stuff,
yeah.
and she put out a project. I'm trying to read exactly what it was, but basically, what's Obama's daughter name? Malia.
Malia, I want to say.
Malia
Yeah,
directed the
yeah.
Nike commercial
Mm-hmm.
because the Obamas are now in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Natalie James Harris basically said that her Sundance short Grace, um,
She bit it. I mean, that's the only way to really say it. It ain't even. I would get if it was a aspect of like very close inspiration, but when I went on her like IG story and she was doing the side by sides on a
hey,
storyboarding tip, and I'm like, oh, this is basically the same thing.
it's
And
basically the same thing.
Malia was at Sundance the year that the film was screened. I'm like, this is. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, man? What are your thoughts?
Uh, the N word,
Okay.
nepotism.
Mm.
What the hell has Malia done to deserve to shoot a Nike commercial for Asia Wilson outside of be Michelle's daughter?
Yeah, I mean, well, she worked with Donald Glover for a little while too, which is also still Nepo. If anything, she has access to these spaces to network and meet these people versus someone like us who really got to get
I'm
out the
just
mud.
saying the real.
Yeah,
I ain't saying
yeah,
that she
yeah,
not
yeah.
talented. I
Yeah,
just said
yeah, yeah,
what
yeah.
did she do? You know what I'm saying? Because that's a hot job.
No, it is. And you directing and that's Asia Wilson first shoe. She already goaded. She's going to be a Hall of Famer anyway. So you doing shit preemptively before like her legacy is even set in stone with the statue and the speech yet, and you getting first dibs on it, but it ain't even your idea.
That's tough to me.
That's
That's real
that's
tough.
that's, that's a doozy. That's
And
a
I would say
doozy, brother.
this why it's tough. I'm not I recently just kind of got into I was in a film festival here in St. Louis
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah,
Kings
yeah.
Highway collab I did with On Running and the St. Louis Run Crew. So I'm kind of getting back into my film bag. I actually want to get into directing a bit
Yeah,
more
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
this year. And as an agency, I'm saying that to say that like if a director would have brought that storyboard to me, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Unless you like
So
super tapped in, you got to be a Sundance kid to like
yeah,
even know that was a thing.
because both of them are just pulling from real life black experiences. They're not pulling
Hmm.
from something personal like their personal story. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Black girls playing patty cake is universal for I don't even know how long patty
Right,
cake been
right,
around. You
right,
know what I'm
right.
saying?
And I will say to Malia's credit, even though I do still think that that's a bite.
It's a bite for
They
sure.
was growing up in Hyde Park like everybody else before
Oh,
they daddy became president. So I don't think that those lived experiences are abstract or far removed from
yeah. Oh
what they
no.
probably would have
Mm-mm.
also had. So I
Mm-mm.
think there's still a level of authenticity there. But when you start putting the shots next to each other, that's when it start getting a little bit too sticky for me.
And she is Gen Z. Their maybe art sensibility or morality is probably a little bit different. The way that they see
Mm,
sampling, biting,
mm,
cutting with con, you know what I mean? Like I watched the new episode, one of the new episodes of Black Mirror, the one
Okay.
with Issa Rae, and Aquafina was in it, and right, and she made a comment. It was basically about like revamping this old cinema. Basically, they're redoing this old movie, and she
Okay.
told the lady that like, yeah, your movie studio has a lot of great content, and the lady was like, don't call it content.
Mm.
And I was like, that's real. It's films. I understand where she's coming from with that. Even the show you should definitely check out on Apple TV, The Studio by Seth Rogen.
Oh yeah, I've been seeing a lot of people talk about that. I got to tap
A
into it. I got to tap into it.
smoker.
Yeah,
That
yeah, I
nigga
heard it. I
Seth
heard his
Rogen,
heat. I heard his heat.
it's a
Okay.
smoker. It's a
Okay.
smoker. It's really
Okay.
funny too. It's really funny. I didn't want to give it away because the joke is the show. So it's like,
Okay, yeah. Now I even heard like Seth is doing stuff that black artists like he damn near intentionally, like not even also like he's stealing or biting, but like
no.
he doing shit that like black directors and actors would literally like get blacklisted from Hollywood for.
Yes. And so
Okay,
uh,
I need to see
uh
it. I
great.
like
It's
that. I
great.
like.
I think that's
Okay.
white privilege used best.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
You know what I'm
he's
saying?
aware of it. I think Seth is also Canadian too, so he's a little bit outside of the parameters of like US racial constructs. Like shout
Yeah.
out to my Canadians. We be tit for tatting
What is it? The
sometimes with them or
braids.
whatever, but like yeah, they have a great perspective. I'll still respect it. I'll still respect it. Not
So,
Drake, but everybody else.
all right.
Let's
Well,
get in the blender.
last thing so Malia bit this young lady's thing bar for bar, word for word. The commercial was fire. So we definitely, I mean, it was well shot, the
Still good.
production.
Yes, yes.
I'm glad that she called that out. She made me aware of her work now, Natalie. So I'm definitely gonna try to tap in with her a little bit harder. Um, but something that you shared with me that kind of makes me think about that. I mean, we on the year. It's been a year since the Drake Kendrick, and Kendrick found a way to reach new commercial success,
Yeah.
playing a very niche cultural game. I was
Mm-hmm.
saying music, like rap beef
Yeah.
is very niche, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and you sent me,
Most outsiders, even though it was a very like global battle and global audience, because they're two of the biggest artists in the world, regardless of genre, but especially within hip hop, which is still the biggest genre in the world, they were tuned in. But the innuendo and the intricacies of everything in the midst of the conversation and the beef,
yeah,
that's black as hell.
and so you know what a lot of people came into the conversation. They usually isn't in that kind of conversation. Um, you sent me a video about the death of counterculture.
Yeah.
And I'm tying that a little bit to the death of counterculture is tied into Malia feeling like she could bite that
Mm-hmm.
because it's a perspective thing. Because counterculture and to be counter and to be anti and to be original is to be counterculture in a lot of ways in America. So then you use a big platform, kind of like people feel like Kendrick did, to make this hit song because you're a big artist. And Kendrick never, to me, propped himself up as his activist, so I'm not even trying to make that correlation.
Yeah, that was more the public than it was him.
But the counterculture to be now, everybody wants to be quote unquote a star, which people used to look at as a sellout, right? That was what the video that we watched was talking about. Counterculture, everybody wants to sell out. It's the death of counterculture. And so some of our most, what's the word? Let's use Future, another niche artist who uses niche motifs to be a global star, walking down the carpet at the Met Gala, right?
Mm-hmm.
Superstar status now.
Yeah.
ASAP Rocky, superstar status now. Everybody wants to be as big as they can, you know? In your opinion, is the death and counterculture I don't know if I would say if it's a good thing, if it's a bad thing. Is it a bad thing that every artist, every influencer now wants to have 1 million subscribers for the most part? Is it bad that everybody wants to go viral? Don't we want to go like viral? Like, what's your
I so it is a complicated and layered thing. First, I will say to our listeners, because it's funny and I guess a tad ironic, because we talked about some of this when we were talking about the death of youth culture. Because youth culture, at least to me, and that's a few episodes ago for our new listeners and everything like that. It's a few episodes ago, but you can find it on our YouTube, all of that. But the youth culture and counterculture go hand in hand. Traditionally, young people have questioned authority, questioned systems, rules, so on and so forth, the status quo, challenged them and created subcultures up under that. One of which being punk, which is kind of like the peak of counterculture. Then you get hip hop, which are quite literally, I ain't even gonna say step brother and stepsister. They are first cousins. Like
Yeah.
they come from the same like grandparents for real, for real.
Hmm.
And it just kind of spills off, but they besties as well. They favorite first cousins. Like if you really, really know about it. And obviously times have changed. It's not the late 70s or the 80s no more. There's no Basquiat hanging out with there are Basquiat's actually hanging out with Debbie Harry's. But now instead of it being in Studio 54, which was hard to get into,
Hmm.
you're now probably at Club Live together or
Soho.
whatever other cliche super poppin' exclusive club in New York, LA, London, Paris to get into, or just at the fashion parties. And your new ticket in, which I also want to go as a DJ on the record and say we need to bring back doorman. My last party that I threw on my own, I had my homies be doorman for me there because I think that curation is that important. And of course, we do have doormen at a lot of nightclubs that are hard to get into, but they are not door. They are super like aesthetic based. They be on some like no fat chicks, no black girls
Hmm.
type of thing. That's not it. Like I like the. I've seen literal videos of Studio 54 doormen just critique outfits and vibes and be like, oh, like you look like you could contribute to the experience up in here. We'll let you go in. And Studio 54 is arguably the greatest nightclub of all time at this point. So I'm not here to go against doorman or curation, but I think we are very aesthetic and image driven nowadays. And when you're so focused on image, you dilute the quality of the material that you're actually trying to sell, which
Hmm.
leads me into the selling out thing. We're so focused on numbers now and data. My line of work, our line of work, but me as a strategist, having to make a strategist with a cultural critique of things, a cultural ownership of things, a cultural owance, allowance. I don't even know the right word right now, but you owe something to give back to these communities as opposed to commodifying everything because it looks a certain way and trying to make things authentic because that's always in the industry trends. Gen Z loves authenticity, authenticity. I literally am dealing with stuff right now in my line of work where I have to go to bat to make a streetwear project more authentic because we have like influencers who will get us more eyeballs, but I know they don't even dress like streetwear on their page. Like their lifestyle influencers more than they are fashion ones, which already is enough of a red flag to me because
Hmm.
it's like we're not going to be able to hit on luxury lifestyle and Rolexes when you're trying to sell sneakers and hoodies.
Right.
Like that's not the thing. And they got 4 million and looking Andrew Tate esque or like Lululemon, like Stanley Cup, Range Rover girlies. All things are fine, but the thing is, I don't know where we went wrong because it's a lot of people who made I don't think that they're that hard of a decision, but people have made the easy decision to lose a little bit of integrity in pursuit of numbers, whether that be profit and money or data to back like to use your KPIs to say that you were successful. And we've diluted culture.
Mm.
And that's the one thing that these brands honestly depend on when they ain't got nothing else. In a recession, all you got is culture.
And two big examples of that for me, former Goliaths, I'll say from the 20th to the 20th century, that are trying to find their footing in the 21st century. and we talk about a lot. They probably think they sponsor this podcast. Nike and Walt Disney.
Yes, yes,
I
yes.
remember, and I don't know which podcast this was, but I told you were like, oh man, when we talked about the Nike Super Bowl ad with all the women. And I was like, yeah, they don't have any silhouettes. They don't
Yeah.
have anything hot to like really on. I put on a pair of On shoes the other day. Shout out to On. I'm a runner. I'm a influencer, but I don't run. Shout out to me. Um, them bitches are comfortable.
I heard.
Hey,
I gotta
you know
get
what I'm
some.
saying? I've had some Air Max 90s. I've had 90. I've had the shoes. Them mugs are comfortable, right? Even you look at Marvel and Disney. The reason I'm bringing that up is because Marvel comic books, that is counterculture. That was
Mm-hmm.
even counterculture when you think about literature. People would say that that's not real literature, right? It's just even looking at it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, did they make a mistake? Did they play their hand too soon? They signed with Disney thinking that they're getting with these big storytellers, XYZ. To me, Disney has diluted Marvel's products, the grittiness. I look at what Ryan Coogler just did with Sinners, and I look at Marvel's missteps. And what it shows to me, the reason Thunderbolts, I went to go see that, the reason that that works is because it's
Mm-hmm.
all white.
Mm.
Anytime that they've had to step into anything that's not like that, all white,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like it was based in culture, they got lucky with Ryan Coogler. Ryan Coogler just happened to be the man.
Right, right,
If,
right,
if
right.
if Black Panther doesn't, if that's not Ryan Coogler, who knows what that is, what that story is? Shang-Chi, the Asian story, it didn't hit. It wasn't hella tight. He just was Asian, but it wasn't. It didn't have like what it could have had. And I know part of that is because, like I said, it's with Disney. The Marvels, all women, it didn't have what it could have had. And I know because we in those rooms, you make those decisions. You say, well, data says,
Right,
right? Captain
right,
America, the new black
right.
Captain America, that didn't do it. That story wasn't what it could have been. And so, in an effort to not offend, in an effort to, right? That's where a lot of people make that decision. To
Yep.
kind of go back to what you said, when did this all happen? To me, it happened not because of his doing, but Virgil made culture for dummies. What I mean by that is,
Oh wow. Okay.
right? He
Okay.
opened up a door and made it super accessible.
Yeah.
He opened and I loved what Virgil did. I'm
Yeah.
a huge Virgil fan. He's one of my bigger inspirations. But he made it for dummies because Virgil is black from the burbs. When you black from the burbs, you gotta have your white homeboys.
Also, a child of African immigrants who came and assimilated into American culture in the deep suburbs, Rockford, two
The
hours away
the
from
deep
Chicago, but
burbs.
claiming Chicago, which all we all know Chicagoans gonna ask you
Right.
where you from in Chicago.
Right.
But he was able to get by with that, especially after the Kanye cosign. It
Yeah.
was too little, too late at that point. But as you were,
So basically, my point is just saying that is that, like you said, the numbers, that time period, 2015, 2016, 2017, SoundCloud popped off, numbers, artists, the way we pick artists changed, the type of movies, the IP, everything started to just become that, like, but for culture streetwear, he flipped it on his head because he was accessible to white people in a different kind of way
mm-hmm.
that Joe Fresh Goods is not. That if you're not a certain kind of white person, Angelo is not with Awake,
Right,
right?
right,
That
right,
Sean
right,
Stussy was not available to everybody, to your point. In the
right.
same way, the way that people we've been seeing criticize Supreme with Ernie Banks, it's one of those things that, like, oh, maybe you guys don't get the joke. Maybe you guys don't get the insider baseball, because that is kind of what
We
Supreme Toe
do.
design
Yeah,
aesthetic is.
that's what we do.
And so bringing that back to the Met Gala as we finish off here, it's like, blackness at the Met Gala. Shout out to Law. I feel like they did a great job of storytelling, talking
Chicago
about
legend,
dandyism.
fashion icon for sure.
Come on, man. I want to give a shout out to Ruth Carter. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I
Yep,
mean?
yep.
She did her thing with center. Like it's a lot of great synergy. And I know people don't like Pharrell and him as a designer and him as a head, but the access that they're giving, the platform that they're giving certain artists, you know what I mean? That I just think that they wouldn't have because he understands culture in a different type of way.
Yeah.
And so You know, I'm all for black people in corporate settings because I consider that a corporate setting,
Mm-hmm.
making themselves known. But to me, that is not the destination. And us us feeling like we have another um more range of freedom because
Mm-hmm.
we have the privilege to be in these spaces is like
Right.
it's never going to be a lot of us. We're always the minority.
Right.
So yeah, it's great, but at this point, with our resources, I'd rather show up to a law event.
Right. Right. Right.
Right?
Right.
Is this not the indication that this is our event? That is our event. You know what I'm saying? When are we gonna do that? That's what Kanye's problem is. He wanna be down with them. And that's what I'm saying. We're just invited to the party. It's not our party. The minute that they don't want it, we can't come no more.
So
But
I
niggas won't go to the BET Awards. It's crazy to me. Go ahead.
right. No, no, it's crazy because I when BET Awards was at its heyday, you had some Beyonce and Kanye there. It was great. Motherfuckers did whatever the taste of the Kool-Aid is. I don't know if it's the cocaine. I don't know if it's the Vogue magazine post. I don't know what it is. I understand a little bit of it as a marginalized person, and I think we as humans are still looking for validation, regardless of how big you are. And these are all cultural institutions who have long since kind of boxed us out. So
Yes.
there is legitimate validation I think that does come from it that will make a person feel good on a
Yes.
human level, especially as an artist. Artists always deal with wanting validation. Like that's an inherent part of being an artist and putting yourself out there in front of the world. But you mentioned a couple of people, one of which being Kanye West, which also reminds me of a previous episode and Drake you mentioned a little earlier, talking about how the proliferation and popularity of hip hop in the last 10, 15 years as social media got bigger also plays a role into it. The accessibility also comes through social media. Virgil could give all of those tips and tricks away that he gave. One, if it were in print in a magazine in one of our faves, a Complex or Nylon Guys or something like that, and it wouldn't be as pervasive as it was because you already got to be into whatever the hell it is into. Virgil could easily do a 10 tricks to start a streetwear brand in 2020 in a Complex, and only Complex kids would have picked it up and got hip
Mm-hmm.
to it and like
Mm-hmm.
started something. But when social media becomes the new form of media and what used to be 500,000 copies of a niche magazine like Complex, which is still very influential and spreads across the country or the world, even now you get millions of views because it's not just the original post, it's people screenshotting it, reposting it, flipping it, giving their critique of it. So now it becomes tens of millions. That information, regardless if somebody's critiquing it or whatever, it gets out there and it does become accessible. It's the same way that like the damn home studio kind of made hip hop accessible and DJing more accessible to so many people who don't have taste or do their homework to even learn the skill set of being any sort of artist. Same with a designer, same with whatever, whatever. And I don't necessarily hate technology. I think that it is still somewhat of a beautiful thing that more people are able to actually create due to the technology that we have. But we now also live in a world that is so fast, especially for young people. And we are still young people in the context of it all, even though we're in our 30s. But we'll just say mid 30s and younger, everything is so rapid nowadays. It's about beating other people to the punch, and it doesn't matter what it looks like. It's okay, personally, to me, to grow in front of your audience. You don't have to be perfect coming out, but now the whole thing of being an influencer or a brand or whatever the case may be is being really bad, but also not giving a shit. And we've made not giving a fuck so much of like a thing that like you could be really bad and become really famous as an influencer, as a exercise enthusiast, as a painter, as a rapper, as a whatever. And the thing that now validates us in our current system is the numbers. It's the numbers. If you rich, if your song going up, if niggas wearing your shirts, it could be bad to actual the OGs or even a student that's in school right now going the traditional route and learning this stuff, it could be subjectively and objectively bad based off of like the confines of what all this shit really exists within. And we see people fall off all the time. But what they gonna say? I'm getting more money than you. You
Right.
ain't popping. You ain't
Right.
this, and then you get your little 3 to 5, maybe 10 if you lucky. If you blessed, you get 10 years in the game. But somebody that really did the hard work, they might have came up within that 5 to 10 gap and been good for the next 50 years
Right.
because of that shit. And niggas will crash out so quickly off of it. And I mean, we ain't even got to get into the science of it all, but the way that dopamine works, I just was retweeting stuff. I don't even know if you saw it or whatever, but I caught a couple clips or whatever of like a new New Yorker post article about the decline of literacy with college
Nigga
students.
with the
How they're
chat
all
GPT
using
shit,
AI and
little
everything.
Asian
That
dude.
shit's crazy. And yeah, and I've been hip to it for a while. I've been following it just on a personal level myself for a minute. That kind of ties into the whole anti-intellectualism thing that's been happening specifically in America, I could talk about, but also in the broader West or whatever. And that's how you get these right-wing leaders to kind of come about and grow in prominence as well,
Right.
i.e., Trump specifically. There's no critical thinking. People aren't, it's all emotion driven and click driven. And the algorithms feed us this shit.
Right.
Zuckerberg makes millions, billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars off of whether or not a post that you make, and you could be a dummy, simply just pisses other people off. Your
And,
engagement goes up. It's a really bad place that we in right now when it comes to media, when it comes to culture, when it comes to education, when it comes to being a fucking human, and when it comes to art.
and to end off on that point, my take on, like I said, the black people at the Met Gala,
The Met,
what it
yeah.
reminded me in this last minute that we got, the blackness at the Met Gala reminded me that they don't deserve us. I'm not saying that we shouldn't aspire to be in predominantly white places and validate and make our name for ourselves. But what that showed me is that they don't deserve us. Because who are the hottest motherfuckers up there? And we give that to them. And it happens across the board. I've had to pull back on some initiatives and stuff that I've had to do in my, so I'm speaking from experience with that. That is my takeaway from all that shit. They do not deserve us. Right?
Shake the table, shake the world,
You know
then
what I'm
make
saying?
your own world, man. That's what Afrofuturism needs to be the thing that we moving forward
So, hey, it's another one. We love y'all. Uh, stay black. That's how we gonna end this
with.
show.